dreamers to come from the United States. I want the people in the United States that have children. I want them to have dreams also.
Politicopinion is the way to go.
Politicopinion's Maria Z goes one-on-one with James O'Keefe.
And even though she has all this criminal investigation behind her, do you think she'll shut it down somehow? She'll have that power?
She's in a lose-lose situation, because if she shuts down the judicial separation of powers, the people will understand that she's doing it. Look at the way people are reacting. If she does that, people aren't going to know that she's doing it. They're going to lose faith in the system. And when people lose faith in the system, it's probably a healthy thing for a democracy. Now, what we do at Veritas, we're the tip of the spear. Like what we're doing literally right now. The video we're about to release, right, 2 hours from now, as fast as my producer can put the tape together here, we're the tip of the spear. We're showing people that the system is broken. The State Department person is afraid to talk for fear of her life, etc., etc. That lends credence to what people suspect to be the case. So what we do is confirm suspicions.
Right.
That's what we do. We confirm suspicions. And more people in this country are losing faith in the system. That's it. We're ready? All right, we're going to film this.
Okay, everybody.
This
we're gonna film it on camera.
Much more difficult to speak into a camera and say 3 straight lines than it is to ad lib.
We get it.
But the seriousness of this.
Turn your phones off.
Yeah. Yeah, let me make sure my phone's off. I left it in your office.
Yes. Yes.
Hi, I'm Maria Z from politicopinion.com, and I'm here with James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Thank you so much, James, for having us here today.
Great to be here.
Today is an exciting day because I hear you're breaking a new story.
Yes, we are. Should be breaking it momentarily. On the someone within the State Department was mentioned in an OIG report a few years back that they were told not to talk publicly about the issue of the emails they were seeing or being sent unclassified. So we, through days of research after James Comey made his decision to reignite the email investigation, after days of research we identified who these individuals were, and we went to their homes and we spoke with them on a hidden camera, and they revealed to us that the FBI never spoke to them. So the FBI supposedly did this investigation. It apparently wasn't thorough. They didn't even speak to the people in the State Department who had personal knowledge of the email. So is it a big story? I think it is. It's coming on the heels of a presidential election, and as you guys saw just a few minutes ago, we're busy running around making it happen.
Right. Exciting. I hope it affects things in the way that we all want, transparency. So I wanted to know what brought you into this field, and what got you started?
It's a long story, but I was in college and I was starting a student newspaper, and I was very much opposed to political correctness on campus and outraged by my professors who were extremely nasty and would not tolerate discourse. So something inside of me just sparked, and I said I need to do something about this. I would read the New York Times actually every day in college. It was really when I was in college, and I was so outraged by, I guess, the lack of intellectual balance on campus, the lack of honesty and integrity, even amongst my student government and amongst my campus administration, that I decided to do something about it, and the sort of radical in me came out, and I read Rules for Radicals by Solinsky. You see Solinsky's poster right there. He's considered to be a communist, but he's actually really more of an organizer, a tactician. So I developed this appreciation for being effective in organizing people, like-minded people, and less so focused on ideas and more focused on exposing things as they are and opening people's eyes. That's how I got started.
So was there a story that kind of got you recognized or broke you out, got you noticed?
Well, the Acorn thing is the one that most people remember, going into Pimp and going into Acorn. Although they say I'm not a pimp because I didn't wear the pimp fur. Although I would argue that pimp protocol doesn't require the wearing of a pimp fur to be a pimp. But this was this big national immediate sort of notoriety. And off that story, we did many other stories, and I think the story we did this month was bigger than the Acorn story due to the timing of it, the presidential election.
Right.
You know, we're 4 days on the heels of the presidential election. We're witnessing history in the making because, as we were talking earlier, there's sort of a tipping point tomorrow, to borrow a Malcolm Gladwell term, that we're seeing the power of the people who are overcoming and overpowering the firewalls that exist in government and media, and people are fed up. And Trump is sort of a proxy vote against those things. Now, I don't endorse or not endorse Trump, but what I do endorse is the movement of the people who are pressuring the establishment to make change. So all of this, you know, the genesis of all of this sort of thing was in college, going to Acorn, Planned Parenthood. We've done Planned Parenthood investigations. We go after the sacred cows, the issues that the media will not go after, either because they're unwilling to do it, they're afraid to do it, or they're compromised. I think it's probably mostly they're compromised. They have access to these institutions, and if they burn that bridge, it damages their ability to get along. And that's what we mean when we say the system is rigged.
Right. So these are all huge stories you've done, but can you tell me which one was your favorite?
Well, a lot of the local stories, some of the ones you've heard about, some of the ones you did, but some of the local stories are the most incredible because they, first of all politics are local, so you're more likely to make a difference on a local scale, but moreover, incredible things happen. I'll just give you an example of the last 24 hours. We did a press conference in North Carolina this week. Went down there, and we had tape of this donor at a fundraiser here in Manhattan saying that black people are fucked in the head, right? He says they're fucked in the head if they don't agree with Democrats. And this guy was an intellectual. He was a professor at Fordham. He's not a dummy. And we go down to North Carolina to break the story. Well, it turns out hours before we break our story, there's another hidden camera audio, and it's on the Republican. And it was filmed. This Republican senator, Burr is his name. This is the most contested state in the country, by the way, both nationally and locally for the Senate race. The hidden camera shows Burr saying, let's do target practice at the gun range. And they put a picture of Hillary's face on the target. And the hidden audio of him saying, let's target Hillary, okay? So there's a scandal, CNN, everything. And we break our story right after that. I couldn't have timed it. I didn't even know that it was going to happen. But then, while we're breaking our story at the press conference showing blacks are fucked in the head clip of the Democratic donor, our undercover reporter inside the campaign of Deborah Ross, the Democrat, catches them saying, oh, don't tell anybody, but we filmed that audio tape of the Republican. So it's a series of events. It's this incredible guerrilla sort of back and forth, and sometimes you don't plan these things. But then we release our audio, embarrassing the media, because they were busy covering this Republican and saying this thing about targets. Now they're forced to cover our story, and they're forced to cover the fact that that audio was obtained by someone working undercover from the Democratic side. So it's just, when we do these stories, it's this sort of crazy series of events that happen, and oftentimes that happens on the local level. You know, it happens on the local level. This person reacts, and then there's another reaction, the reaction to the reaction, and it's forcing the mainstream media to go along.
So you're breaking stories that the media isn't or won't handle.
Yes, and in order to break through, and that's the title of my book, Breakthrough, they're the media's defense posture, their firewall, because the media is part of the Democratic Party. There is no distinction. They are the Democratic Party. Donna Brazile was feeding talking points to CNN. George Stephanopoulos gave $75,000 to the Clinton Foundation. Katie Couric was given journalism awards for asking Sarah Palin a question about what she reads. My journalists spent a year risking their lives undercover, infiltrating and exposing what really happens, and they don't give a damn. Okay, so they are part of the system. So when you can't just release a story, you can't just expect the media. You have to play it. You have to play the media. You have to work the media. You have to fight them. You have to go after and you have to release information in a certain way. Always telling the truth, and always never breaking the law. But you have to play a guerrilla marketing strategy. In North Carolina, the Democrat, there was footage released on the Republican, we released footage on the Democrat, and then we released more footage showing that that other footage was obtained by the Democrat. You're totally in the weeds. You're fighting these wars, you're tweeting at these journalists, you're having a press conference, everyone's attacking you. But you know what? There's great joy in fighting, and there's great joy in winning.
I agree. So do you feel like with everything you're doing and with everything that's being exposed now before the election, it's going to break the mold for the media?
Yes. I mean, I think we're not there just quite yet. Like I said, we're at a tipping point, and the media has so much power, especially over voters who are not educated. But what we need to do is we need to educate people. Now, I'm not saying people are ignorant. On the contrary, I think people are highly intelligent. I think even people who know nothing about politics have a gut-level instinct. They have a yuck factor. They have a indecency. They just say, I can't stomach this. I can't believe this. When Scott Fogel said in the video that we released 3 weeks ago, I don't care about the law. We need to win this motherfucker. Right? He said that, okay? People watch that and they get disgusted. They get disgusted. A very small percentage of people who are hardcore political operatives will dismiss it and attack me. But 80% of people look at that video and they don't like that. They don't want to live in that world. Okay, so the solution to our society's problems is to do more of what we did. Is to do it on the IRS, the DHS, the TSA, Homeland Security, the government, government wasteful programs, teachers unions, schools, wherever it's happening. We need to expose it. And when we do that, it's going to change the fabric of our country, because people will know what decisions to make when they have the right information. Right now, people don't have any information. They don't know what's going on. They just have the television. So people are leaving the television and they're going to social media. And that's where we have our power, is in social media.
Right. I agree. I think there's a distinction between being educated and being informed.
That's correct. That's a very good point.
And I think that people are being educated by their television sets and not being informed by what's really happening. And I applaud you for going out there and risking so many things to do what you're doing. So it's an excellent, excellent job. I also wanted to know what you thought, what your gut feeling was as far as where we're headed on November 8th. What's going to happen?
My gut feeling, the analogy I've always used is that it's sort of like a roulette wheel. You have whatever the odds are mathematically, 48% on red, 48% on black, and there's a little green, 2 little green ones for some other crazy thing to happen. I think it's literally 50-50. I mean, with a little asterisk of something else happening. You have to account for different outside variables. In fraud, there could be a marginal difference, 2% on the fraud, and that's Veritas is actually going to be out in the field on election day, boots on the ground. All of our people are deployed, and we have a tip line. We're getting tips. We're going to go out and expose wherever the machines, the buses. You saw in the video we released 2 weeks ago. Fogel says we've been busting people around for 50 years. We're not stopping. You see that activity start to cease because of what we expose. They're not willing to do the fraud because they're afraid of getting caught, right? Which is good enough as far as I'm concerned. I think it's 50-50. I think it could go either way. I think it's right down the middle, and the work that we do could make the difference.
Great, thank you so much. I mean, I think it's very important to get out there and catch people, especially that type of thing, especially this being a very critical election. We really want it to go, in an honest direction and not have, this type of thing infiltrated and pushing it unethically.
Yes.
So thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you wanted to get out there?
Do what you can to send us information. If you want to get involved, you want to be a journalist, send us your information. Send us a tip, and stay tuned, because we got a couple of videos coming out, like literally right, I don't know when this is broadcasting, but in a few minutes.
As soon as possible.
Videos coming out today. We probably have more videos coming out next week. And this is, we're the tip of the spear. You know, this is it. This is the last line of defense. The citizens of this country. The government's not going to do it for you. The politicians aren't going to do it for you. The media's not going to do it for you. This is it. You, the people, are the ones who need to make the change. So it's up to us.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing everything that's you're putting forward in the next couple of days.
Thank you.
I'm Roger Stone. Check out politiopinion.com.